We have another sutra today to explore, a very condensed one, very short, not many stories, not many elaborations, but it's the key of the key of every misconception we have, every delusion we have, the root of all of our misunderstandings. So what I was thinking to do today is to read this sutra and then try to address these misconceptions we have through poems, through stories, through other texts, and through our daily experiences, and try to investigate it a bit. Okay? So I will share the screen. We'll start with the sutra, and then, okay. Perversions. הוא קרא לזה ממש סטיות.
כן, זה לא צילום.
נכון, אבל זה, הנה עולם התרגום הנפלא. אני לא יודעת מה המקור, כל אחד מסתמך על המקור, אז אני לא יודעת מה המקור, ותמיד נכנסת איזושהי פרשנות אישית. Obscurations.
זה מערבלים.
כן. This is in the English because we use a specific translation of Asaf Federman, and he gave a link of Bhikkhu Sujato, who was translating it as perversions. In Hebrew, the word is more like misconceptions. It's like you don't see, you twist reality a bit. You twist, yeah. Yeah, you twist reality, but we never, I don't know what is the origin, and I think if we find a few others in English, you see also different words. So we're going to use the translation in Hebrew of Asaf Federman. He gives a little introduction, so I'll read it in Hebrew and then I'll translate. הוא אומר לנו ככה, זה טקסט קצר שמציג את ההשקפה הנכונה ואת ההפך ממנה, את סילופי ההשקפה. קיימים 4 סילופים עיקריים, לתפוס את מה שארעי כקבוע, את מה שגורם סבל, כאילו הוא גורם עושר, את מה שאינו עצמי כעצמי, את מה שמכוער כיפה. הטקסט אינו מפרט ואינו מדגים אילו דברים ארעיים נתפסים בטעות כפרועים, אך ממקורות אחרים בהגות הבודהיסטית אנחנו יודעים שלמעשה כל התופעות המותנות הן ארעיות. ולכן הסילוף הגדול הוא לחשוב שיש משהו בתוכנו או סביבנו שהוא קבוע ונצחי. הכוונה בדברים האלה היא להחזיר את התודעה למנוחה ולהפסיק את הרדיפה והיחסות. אנחנו רודפים ורוצים לאחוז במה שקבוע, מה שמביש. עושר, אני, שלי, כל מה שיפה ומענג את החושים. אם נוכל להבחין היכן הדברים האלה אינם בני אחיזה, לא נזדקק עוד לרדוף אחרים. מתוך המנוחה הזאת, קל יותר להבחין בטעם השחרור והעושר הבלתי טוב. Okay, so Asaf is giving a certain angle. He talks about the 4 misconceptions. He says that we perceive what is impermanent as permanent, what causes suffering as if it's a cause for happiness, what has no self as a self, and what is ugly is beautiful. And he says that he takes the angle of chasing after something, but if you understand that everything is impermanent and changes constantly, then there's nothing to chase, and then you have some peace. There's nothing to hold on to. And then you don't chase, you don't run after something, and there is some ease in the thing, some flavor or taste of liberation, happiness, something like that. I think that the text can go further, not just impermanent into permanent, but let's see. So now we're going to read the sutra. You have it in English, right? Okay. נזירים. יש 4 סילופים של התפיסה, התודעה וההשקפה. אילו 4? תפיסה, התודעה וההשקפה מסולפות של הארעי כקבוע. תפיסת תודעה והשקפה מסולפות של הסבל כאושר. תפיסה תודעה והשקפה מסולפות של הלא עצמי כעצמי. תפיסת תודעה והשקפה מסולפות של המכוער כיפה. אלו הם 4 סילופים של התודעה, התפיסה, התודעה וההשקפה. ומה הם 4 התיקונים של התפיסה, התודעה וההשקפה? תפיסת תודעה וההשקפה לא מסולפות של הארעי כארעי. תפיסת תודעה וההשקפה לא מסולפות של הסבל כסבל. תפיסת תודעה וההשקפה לא מסולפות לא עצמי כלא עצמי. תפיסת תודעה וההשקפה לא מסולפות המכוער כמכוער. אלו הם 4 התיקונים של התפיסה, תודעה וההשקפה. יש שיר קטן שנדגיש את זה. לתפוס כקבוע את הארעי. לתפוס כאושר את הסבל. This is a very interesting one, right? Something that is really supposed to cause me suffering and I'm misperceiving it as a cause for happiness. Very tricky, very tricky. לתפוס כעצמי את הלא עצמי, לתפוס את המכוער כיפה. היצורים נהרסים על ידי השקפה מזיקה, תודעתם מורעלת וחולה. He's going on strong expressions, right, in this little poem verses. כבולים לרתמתו של מרה. אנשים אינם מוצאים מקלט. היצורים החיים נעים במעגלים, הולכים בין לידה ומוות. איך שהבודות מופיעים בעולם, מאירים וזורחים, הם מלמדים אותם את האמת, את הדרמה, המובילה להשקטת הסבל. כשהחכמים שומעים אותם, הם חוזרים לדעתם. מה שהארעי הוא ארעי, הסבל הוא אכן סבל. לא עצמי אינו עצמי, והלא יפה אינו יפה. מאמצים השקפה נכונה, הם מתעלים מעל לכל הסבל. So he's offering us a path for liberation, to liberate ourselves from the suffering that we create to ourselves by misconceptions. Okay? So let's investigate it. Let's investigate. Yeah. There is something in the word in Hebrew that you really twist. Perversion is maybe in our daily language it has some connotation of things that we judge badly. I'm not sure that in origin it was like that, but yeah,
what will be in a cell? We're all mentally ill. Also, like it's we're all mentally ill, and when we use perversion, maybe it helps you understand. Oh, it's like it's a big sickness. It's not something to be light about.
Yeah, this can be.
Also, you want to distance yourself from it. Like, no, that's not me. I'm not.
I don't want to be there. I don't want to be a pervert. Yeah.
And I think also that silufim in Hebrew, it's more like a daily life. Like it's something more common.
Light.
Yeah, the version is
in our connotation is heavy. כן. וסטייה אתה גם סוטה מהמציאות. אבל יש לנו איזשהו מטען לזה there is, Buddha used strong words in these verses. He said we are tormented, we are suffering, we are ill. Silufim, we are not very ill. Like we are sick in the way we perceive. We are sick in the I think in the aspect that we call unnecessary suffering to ourselves. It's so silly. We really want happiness. We do everything we want for happiness, and we create our own suffering. So there is something here. I saw this photo and I said to myself, this can be right? We try to he's putting nails on the water of the sea. The wave is coming and he's putting nails as if he doesn't want the wave to move, the water to move. He's trying to fix a changing reality. Right? He's trying to fix a changing reality, and I think this is one of our main causes of suffering. This is what Asaf Ederman gave in his introduction. He really emphasized that we try to grasp something that is changing.
It's
So-
actually a very nice art video that made an artist, the Israeli artist with the Arab artist, a woman, and she filmed herself in also in the shore near the water, but in the water.
Yeah, same idea. Bless you. So I want to read something from Pema Chodron. You have everything in the email. You have it in your book. That's very good. And Alex, you have all the English versions of the things. This was in the email. In the email, only Tichnatan was in the WhatsApp. Pema Chodron is talking about aspects of reality that we don't know how to handle. So she talks about impermanence, and then she talks about suffering. And she said we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate impermanence. We need to celebrate suffering. So let's see what she says. We can start. We can start from the top. לאנשים אין כבוד כלפי ארעיות. אנחנו לא נהנים ממנה. למעשה אנחנו מתייאשים ממנה. מתייחסים אליה כאל כאב. מנסים להתנגד לה בעשיית דברים שיחזיקו מעמד, לנצח. דברים שלא נצטרך לכבס, שלא נצטרך לגהץ. איכשהו, אגב, הניסיון להכחיש שהדברים תמיד משתנים, עובדת לנו תחושת הקדושה של החיים. אנחנו נוטים לשכוח שאנחנו חלק מהתוכנית הטבעית של הדברים. הארעיות היא עיקרון של הרמוניה. כשאיננו נאבקים בה, אנחנו בהרמוניה עם המציאות. תרבויות רבות חוגגות את הקשר הזה. יש טקסים לציון כל המעברים בחיים, מלידה למוות, פרידות, פגישות, יציאה לקרב, הפסד בקרב, ניצחון בקרב. גם אנחנו נוכל להכיר בארעיות, לכבד ולחגוג אותה. אבל מה בנוגע לסבל? מדוע שנחגוג את הסבל? האם זה לא נשמע מזוכיסטי? הסבל שלנו מבוסס ברובו על פחד מהארעיות. על לחגוג את הסבל, אה? כאן היה משפט שממש תפס אותי, כי לפעמים יש איזה משפט אחד שתראו, הכאב מושרש עמוק בתפיסת מציאות צולעת חד צדדית שלנו. מי בכלל הגה את הרעיון שיכול להיות עונג ולא כאב? קידום המחירות של הרעיון הזה גורף מדי בעולם שלנו, ואנחנו קונים אותו. כן, היא נורא חכמה. כי מכרו לנו רעיון שאין בו שום מציאות, וכולנו נאחזים בו, ואז כל פעם שלא פוגשים אותו, אנחנו מתוסכלים. כאב ועונג קשורים ביחד, הם בלתי נפרדים, אפשר לחגוג אותם. הם רגילים, לידה היא כואבת ומהנה, מוות הוא כואב ומהנה. כל דבר שמסתיים הוא גם התחלה של משהו אחר, כאב אינו עונש, עונג אינו שכר. So Pema Chodron is telling us that we twist reality, we have this perversion of thinking that we can have, if you have two sides, we can have only one side. I want only the pleasurable side, I don't want the painful side. And I think this is an indication of really a place that we misconceive reality. And on this, I think we can stay for, investigate. Do you perceive pleasure and pain as the same thing? Or as two sides of the same coin, but we're gonna meet both of them? Pleasure and pain, happiness and suffering, good and bad.
Maybe conceptually, yes, but in the daily life,
We want only one side.
I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be in pain. Yeah, I try to avoid it.
So as if they really sold us an idea that is not realistic. She's saying somebody really has some, maybe קידום מחירות, all the people who have some interest in copywriting, they know how to sell things, but they sell something which is unrealistic, and we buy it. We totally believe in it. right? That there can be one side of the coin.
לי בכלל הגעת הרעיון שיכול להיות עונג ולא כאילו.
נכון. We all think like that. We all think
beginning of time, it's hard
to change.
to release it.
So we can see, you know, other sutras that refer to the same idea. There is the sutra of the arrow. Remember that something bad happened? And if you are not trained and you don't see reality as it is, you shoot in yourself another second arrow saying, oh, why did it happen to me? And then you create extra suffering on what happened. But why did it happen to me? This sentence comes, and Buddha is going further. He's not just saying we shoot the second arrow in ourselves. He says, we shoot the second arrow, we intensify our own suffering because we expect not to meet this suffering. Then when it comes, it's a victory. Because we have an underlying tendency saying, I have aversion to suffering, I don't want to meet, I have underlying tendency only for happiness, only for pleasure. And then if you meet suffering, then there's a victory. If I will not have this underlying tendency that I wish only for happiness, then when I meet suffering, I will be more equanimous. Okay? And I think we talked about it in the past, about conceptual designation, about how we live in a world of conceptions. We organize reality, right? If I give you this photo, or we just talk about reality, we have a seed, we have a sprout, right? Everybody that wants to eat healthy, we sprout our lentils, our beans, so there is a seed and there is a sprout. If you look at this photo, which step, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which out of the 7 is the seed? Which out of the 7 is the sprout? First one is the seed. The last one is the sprout. Somebody would like to argue differently? Can we offer a different interpretation? Both cause and effect in the same thing.
Because when it's a seed, it has the potential to be sprout.
But potential is not a sprout, it's potential. If in every phenomena you have both cause and effect, then nothing should manifest because everything is already good. In the end.
It depends on our
Shoko?
definition. It depends on our definition.
Not simultaneously.
Not simultaneous. So which one?
If we say that sprout
Sprout the never, seeds the
sprout when it comes above the surface, so it's a sprout. If we say that the sprout is when it's eatable, so this is sprout.
Yeah.
Depends on how we define.
Both words, sprout and seed, are simplification of the reality.
Oh, simplification. What do you mean?
Any reduction of something complex to something more simple.
Yes.
In order to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex said that we take a complex reality and we make it simple. We simplify it. So for example, here we have a spectrum, we have a transformation process, right? But we want to simplify reality. So he says this point will be a seed, this point will be a sprout. In reality, how can you really decide? It's like you said, it's our definition. If we say it's edible or it's above the surface, or if so we take a continuum of transformation and we cut it into two, as if two extremes, and we say this is a seed, this is a sprout. So because we use language and we say this is a seed and this is a sprout, after a while we forget that there was a continuum and there is a whole complex transformation, and we think that reality exists as we talk about it in concept. So we have a seed and we have a sprout. We think they exist as a seed and a sprout by themselves, not as a part of a transformation process. So we don't do it only in a seed or a sprout. We do it with respect to everything. Give me a quality of yourselves. When you say to yourself, I'm a nice person, is it not the same idea? that I'm taking something much more complex, because sometimes I'm nice and sometimes I'm angry and sometimes I'm nasty and sometimes I'm kind and so. But when I say something about myself, I take something and I isolate it. I
all day, all night, all
As-
along.
yeah, as if this is me.
Identify that.
I identify, and then I forget all the complexity. So what we do is we are accustomed to work in dichotomy, either this side or that side. We go for the extremes. Like, just for an example, yin and yang. You know yin and yang? This very famous image. So we have the strong energy, as if the male energy, and we have the female, the soft. But you see that in each one, there is a point of the other side. Within the white, you have the black. Within the black, you have the white. You can never find an extreme that is isolated from the process itself. There is no good without bad. There is no male without female. There is no left without right. There is no seed without the sprout. So even within the yin, you have a spot of yang. We say that in every extreme, you have the flavor of the other extreme, right? And even the switch to transform from the white to the black, it's a gradual process with a lot of gradual changing. It's a whole transformation. It's the continuum. It's the process. But we don't perceive reality as such. There is good and bad. But if we take this one as an example, within the good, you have bad. Within love, you have hatred. Within hatred, you have love. How can it be?
I think it's different hand, but it says it's like a stick that has both sides. And one side of the stick cannot exist without the other side of the stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Chocolate, yes, and it's always two sides.
Yeah, this is chapter 6
But
of...
it's interesting what you say, because when we talk about bodhicitta, it's like ultimate, like a mother sentient being, ultimate compassion, ultimate love, and there is no hatred inside it. So that's what causes me to be confused many times.
Because?
How can it exist?
Because you're striving into a concept that people can say, no, it cannot be, because how can you be a Buddha, or how can you be with full bodhicitta?
Yeah, but sometimes the opposite or the glimpse of the other side doesn't have to abide within the same mind. We have Buddha because we have what we call Mara, or we have awakened one because we have ignorant ones that are not awake.
Oh, but it's the continuum. An enlightened mind with bodhicitta was previously with fiction.
Yeah.
It's still on the same mental continuum.
Yeah, can be.
But I believe that saying that when there is love, there is also hatred, this is also confusing, because it's not like that someone is feeling love and immediately there's some kind of hatred. No, I think there's some specifics in that, saying that maybe this person also have aversion to other people or something like that, or maybe had other. So this coexistence, it's very specific. It's not like that always simultaneously love and hatred, because bodhicitta wouldn't have been there.
Yeah,
So.
not always simultaneously, but sometimes it's really the two sides of the same coin. It's a very interesting discussion, right? Because we say we would like, as a Buddhist practitioner, to cultivate love and to diminish anger totally. I want to eliminate anger. Can I do that?
But I think that's why you need to understand emptiness completely, and then you're not seeing the world so in a dualistic way. And then it's not so, like now we talk about it and it's very dualistic, and it's I think when you feel emptiness, so you don't feel like love and hate are so inseparable.
Yeah, this is the thing, that this seeing black and white, seeing dichotomy view is a result of our conceptuality it's a result of the way we structure reality, but this is not reality. And we are accustomed to think like that, right? For example, in and out, cold and warm, healthy and sick, silence or noisy, happiness or sadness. We think these things exist as they are, like let's say in and out. Inside my continuum and outside. This computer is outside of my continuum. This body is inside, is related to my continuum. In and out seems like a very clear cut with very clear borders, right? But it's enough that there will be some pollution outside in the air and I will breathe and it becomes inside. Or it's enough that Nitzan will give some idea that I didn't think of and suddenly it becomes my thoughts. I consume. So in and out is not so clear. I can have a glass from clay, and then there is full moon and high tide and low tide, and the little liquid in the glass is in the cup is affected. How do we do this conceptual structure of in and out while reality is much more complex? Right? In reality, everything is changing, is dependent, arising, and is constantly moving, is constantly changing, but we don't live like that.
We live by the extremes.
Yes. So we simplify reality by extremes, but then we forgot the process that we simplified things, and we think that things exist as such.
I also think it's important that I don't think, at least I don't understand how we could live completely without concept, because they are functional. For example, seed and sprout. I don't know, if we are someone who is doing transportation, so we should know that what we should transport is like seeds and maybe not sprouts. So he uses this distinction to function in his daily life. And if he didn't have the distinction, he wouldn't be able to act. So we need it.
We need it.
It's not like we can just get rid of it.
No, I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm saying let's remember where a concept came from and remember that maybe reality is much more complex than the concept we put upon it. Because this is the root, I think, of our misconceptions, that we think that our conceptions are reality. And reality is so much more. It's enough that I'm saying on myself, I'm a judgmental person. Which means there is probably dichotomy, which means maybe you are not a judgmental person. How can it be? Sometimes I'm judgmental, sometimes not. You are sometimes not, sometimes yes. Yeah? Reality is much more complex. Each side holds some flavor from the other extreme, right? Because there is no clear border outside between in and out. How can we do this distinction?
In this
way of thinking.
In this mindset, we can also say that there isn't not inherent characteristic, no characteristic, because every character that you say about someone, it's in the morning or in the evening with this person in this condition and everything.
Yes.
So we can say it just to be more clear when we discuss with someone, and then we have to draw.
Yes, that is really, this is what Nitzan said, like to really understand emptiness. Your understanding dependent arising is the other side of emptiness, right? When you say sometimes in the morning is like this and in the afternoon is like this, and you see many colors in one person, then you say he's changing and he's reacting with his surroundings and he's impermanent. So I don't grasp into permanence. This is one of the twists we have, right? That we grasp into permanence. But if you remember, this is changing all the time. And at the moment I experienced him as nasty, but it's not him in character, then I don't grasp into permanence. I already open my view. I release one of the things I grasp into permanence. Not so easy to apply, I think. But very interesting way of thinking. When I was really exploring it, when somebody asks you, how are you? and you really hold this in your mind, how can you answer? How can you answer? Because you have such a mixture. Ever since 7th of October, people could not answer the question, how? Because suddenly you have so many things coming at once. So suddenly people were more connected to the ever-changing nature of their mind, that you have different states of mind, very frequently changing. So you ask, how are you? And so, I don't know. In the morning I was okay, then I was sad, then I was angry, then I was, how can you answer? Okay.
But also you can answer because you understand that the function is to start a dialogue with the person, and it's not necessary to relate to him all the complexity of yourself, and you can just say, it's okay, I'm okay.
On the average of today,
I say now, okay.
Yeah, the average today, just say, okay, and you mean it, you mean that you're not this conversation, you just want to start a conversation.
This is what we do. But then we are falling into the trap of believing our words and believing our concepts.
It's important not to believe that this is my complete characteristic.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, I was experiencing a lot in human spirit, a lot, months after months, coming, asking, how are you? And nobody answers. Nobody can answer. Nobody could answer. I don't think it was only there. I think everybody were a bit stuck because so many things came and...
Or sometimes they were afraid to say that
Yeah.
they feel bad, very bad.
Yeah,
And also they're afraid to say that they feel good.
yeah.
But I
It's
think we
like,
can change.
Okay, guilty.
But I think we can change the way we ask also, because when you ask also little children, I was in the school, no, so he says okay, and then you don't understand what
What does it mean?
what does it mean. So maybe we can change our language also and try to ask, how is your heart now, or
Tell me something that made you happy today.
yeah, maybe we can like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
What was different today? What was new?
Tich Natan, in chapter 6, this is the one you said about the stick. He explains it really nicely, how we don't have these extremes. This is what I sent you on WhatsApp. I read it in Hebrew and then I can rephrase in English. If you don't have this book, I highly, highly recommend. Tiny. You have a PDF? Legal to... No? Yeah. I have a Kindle version of it. And there is also in English, Heart of Understanding, and also in Hebrew, Leva Havana. It's a very original commentary on the Heart Sutra. The Heart Sutra is the essence of understanding emptiness. And he gives a very poetic interpretation, a very... sometimes he goes quite far from the text and he gives very original examples and interpretations. It really opens the mind. So I מה זה? The name of the chapter is Roses and Garbage. Roses and Garbage. So I'll read. אין הן בעלות רבב ואינן חסרות רבב, זה ציטוט מסוטרות הלב, ואז הוא מתחיל להסביר. בעל רבב...
Garbage also, it's think compost.
What he explains, yeah. רבב כתם, כן? זה מוכתם לעומת לא מוכתם. בעל רבב לעומת חסר רבב, מזוהם לעומת טהור. בסדר, הנה הדיכוטומיה, חשיבה דיכוטומית, דייקוטומי, contaminated versus uncontaminated. אלו הם מושגים שאנחנו מצרפים בתודעתנו. ורד יפהפה, שזה אתה כתבנו, הוא ללא רבב. ניחוחו כה נהדר, כה טהור, כה רענן, הווייתו כולה היא ללא רבב, היא שלמות. היפוכו המוחלט, חשיבה הקונספטואלית, כן? היפוכו המוחלט הוא פח זבל. ריחו מבאיש והוא מלא ברקב. אבל זה כך רק במבט שטחי. אם תעמיק להתבונן, תראה כי בעוד 5 או 6 יממות בלבד, יהפוך הוורד לחלק מן הזבל. לא תצטרך להמתין 5 ימים כדי להיווכח בזאת, מספיק שתביט בוורד, תעמיק מבט, ותוכל לראות זאת כבר עכשיו. אם תביט לתוך פח הזבל, תראה כי בעוד מספר חודשים תשנה תכולתו צורתה, ותוכל להיות לירקות מלבלבים, אפילו לוורד. אם אתה חקלאי אורגני טוב וניחנת בעיניים של בודיסטווה, אז כשתביט בוורד תוכל לראות את הזבל, וכשתביט בזבל תוכל לראות ורד. ורדים וזבל הם שלובי קיום. בלי ורד לא יהיה זבל, ובלי זבל לא יהיה ורד. השניים זקוקים זה לזה. הוורד והזבל שווים. הזבל זכאי בדיוק לאותה מידת הוקרה כמו זו שזוכה לה הוורד. אם נעמיק להתבונן במושגים של היות רבב והיעדר רבב, אנחנו שווים אל הרעיון של שלוב היות. שלוב היות, interbeing, זה כאילו התהוות מותנית. יש קטע קצר מאוד שעוסק בבריאת העולם, זה אחת הסוטרות המאוד ידועות של dependent arising. הקטע פשוט מאוד קל להבנה, ועם זאת עמוק מאוד. זה קיים משום שההוא קיים. זה אינו משום שההוא אינו. זה כך משום שההוא אחרת. זו תורת בראשית הבודהיסטית. You have this on the WhatsApp that if you have the rose and you wait a few days, you can have the garbage. You read it now.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
following, understand a little bit of Hebrew. Yeah.
Goodness. You should take part of the credit when you go to your Hebrew teacher. Tell her it's the Dharma. What do you say about this? We really divide reality, right? There is a rose, there is a garbage, this I like, this I dislike. And he says, but it's just a part of transformation. In a few days, the rose decays, becomes part of the garbage, then it becomes compost, then it becomes support for new growth of new beautiful things. And the garbage has some good qualities because it will transform into something that nourishes the soil. So he says, if you look in the eyes of a bodhisattva, if you look at one, you see the other side. It's like yin and yang. You have the spot of the black within the white. In the rose, I see the garbage, I see the compost, I see the growth, I see everything in one thing. And one cannot be without the other. Interbeing or dependent arising, one cannot be without the other. So how can we have a rose without the garbage? How can we have a garbage without the rose? How can we have bodhicitta without having self-cherishing before? One within the other. Does it resonate? So
Again, we're talking about potential, yes, being silent. And we're talking about the potential. And if we can see the potential in all things, that will make our mind more flexible. See how things are interwoven or interbeing.
Yeah. If we hold in our mind the emptiness of things, then you see that nothing exists as such. Then you don't grasp into permanence. Then you don't grasp into a self. Already two of the twists, they are so connected. Many times when we study, we really do a very gentle surgery. We talk only about one nuance, understanding emptiness, understanding permanence or impermanence, self, ugliness, happiness. We really do a very gentle surgery. But in reality, things are really interconnected. If I grasp into permanence, I grasp into a self. Do you see why? If I grasp into permanence, I grasp into a self. Because if I'm saying only a rose is beautiful, then I grasp into the permanence of the rose, it will never decay. And I think the rose is beautiful from its own side. So the things are connected. While if you hold emptiness in your, the idea of emptiness in your mind, then you see the potential to transform, then you see all the things transforming. Then you experience reality in a totally different way. If you see the potential of things. This, in human spirit, we talk a lot about it, about therapists. That as a therapist, you talk to someone. You talk to a patient, and it's very easy to fall into the trap of labeling because he has a diagnosis. So I can say he's like this or he's like that. But if I hold emptiness in my mind, then I'm saying he's more than just this diagnosis, and he can transform, he can change, and he has many other parts in his character at the moment even active. Okay? For him and about me the same. As a therapist, I can say about myself, I can be more flexible.
I think that if you add the word now for everything, it gives the proportion for, you can say the rose is beautiful now. It's beautiful, but now.
It reminds me that it will not stay like that.
I think it's with
Not necessarily, because I think if a non-Buddhist person, he will say, listen to this and say, okay, the rose will become garbage. I understand that. I'm not objecting to that, but I still prefer roses to garbage. So I'll just pick this rose now when it's still a rose, and then when it becomes garbage, I just throw it away, and then I pick another rose. So what's the problem with that? Why should I bother thinking why this rose is becoming garbage?
Why?
Why?
Well, let's ask. What's the problem with saying this I like, this I dislike? I like the rose. I enjoy it as long as it's beautiful. Then I throw it away. Then I buy a new one.
Because I will be sad. The rose will.
I will buy another one. I don't need to decide. I will buy another one.
But when you are attached to the rose and you think, oh, this is so beautiful, I love it, it's amazing. You grasp it. You think it's like it by itself is beautiful.
Yeah, I like roses. That beautiful. Yeah, what? What's the problem with that? Do you like garbage?
But if you just search into the rose, it's made of many parts.
I don't want to search in the road. What is wrong with that? I don't want to look, especially I don't want to look at the garbage.
Simple.
Rose.
Okay, no, but it's simple because rose, okay, you can buy any mix. Okay, but someone, a friend of yours that is nice to you, okay, can be nice all the time.
I will stop talking to him. I will find another friend.
Yeah, but you will be very, very disappointed that he's not great all the time, or your what? Not great all the time, not nice all the time, not necessarily do whatever you want, and you practice on the rose that the notion that everything is that, okay, of course that I can buy flowers wherever I need.
But I think it also links to the thing we said before, which is it's to look at our own identifying with ourselves and our things and behaviors and stuff like that. So the roses, it's a good metaphor because it's easy to understand, but maybe it's because you can buy a new rose, that's a bit of a far away demonstration of the idea that you can't buy everything or you can't get everything and renew everything without understanding that the process of renewal and the process of psychic resistance is within everything, including the things you identify with. So, for example, I can be kind and happy, but I can also be sad and angry, and they exist within, it's not the self, but they exist within my mind, they exist within their mind, and they feed on each other, like the rose and the foliage, in a sense. And that I can't buy more kindness or more happiness when the other phenomenon exists as well. I can only feed, like let them feed on each other and understand that there's a bit of each in the other, I think.
Yeah, actually, I do have a problem talking to people and explaining Buddhist concept. So this is a real example. So why bother with the garbage at the road? And I think my solution is, at least attempt at a solution is close to what you are saying. That we should probably not give more examples like roads and garbage, and stick to more close examples like death, like suffering, which I, as a person. Is that true? No? What do you think?
I'm thinking it's I think it's a brilliant discussion, because this really, I think, takes the essence of why we twist reality. Because why do we twist reality? Because there is something in reality that tricks us. Here, I can control my body, right? I can lift my hand when I want. I can put it down when I want. So I have an illusion of fully controlling my body because partly I can. So I have short amount of control, then I have an image of controlling my body, then I don't want sickness, I don't want old age, I don't want to lose my memory, it doesn't happen. Same here. I like beautiful things, so I can throw away the rose when it's, how do we say, novel? Decay. I can throw away the rose when it decays and buy a new one. So this is true.
Wilt.
Wilt,
Wilt.
W-I-L-T.
Wilt. Novel, camel. Because I can throw away the rose when it's not attractive to me anymore and buy a new one, I have the illusion, like the partly controlling my body, I have the illusion that I can always stay on the nice side of life. You see, so there is something in reality that tricks us. I have partly control of my body, then I think I have full control. I can throw away the rose when it's a bit of anesthetic for me, aesthetic enough, and buy a new one, then I have the illusion that you can live only on the bright side of life. While of course you can. And this is what Pema Chodron said. Who sold us the idea that you can have only pleasure with no pain? Only beautiful roses. And each time something doesn't go my way, I throw it away and I take a new one. This is the illusion we live in. This is exactly what we think that reality can be. While we cannot, of course, avoid suffering because suffering yin and yang is there. But if I don't perceive it as suffering, as a big drama, but I see the full process of life. Full process of life is not only when the rose is beautiful. Full process of life is also when it's a bit decay. Some people like dry flowers. And some people use it as a compost and then it gives life to something else. And so I see full process of life and I'm at peace with full process of life, then whatever comes, I can live with better. It can be pain, but I can still accept it as a full process of life and not only, let's divide reality, I want to enjoy only this part. All the rest, take it away.
I think we really, like our society really builds on this idea of separating. Even the fact that we throw away the garbage and then it's taken away. And when people are sick, they go to the hospital, like all the garbage in our dichotomic view.
Outside.
Being moved away. And then it's really hard. Like if we had our compost in the garden and then we would plant it and new roses would grow, then maybe we would, I don't think it would solve everything, but it would maybe, if we really let ourselves see the continuum of it and not always reject it and give it away, then maybe we will be more accustomed to thinking that way.
I think not only by a matter, because the road is something you see and everyone knows it's pretty. I think people sometimes are amazed or astonished when they feel something that's bad, sadness or anger or mental pain, and it's like, how come I have this? Sometimes I on the phone with people in the emergency phone that I do with the, and they're like, how come I feel like this? Like I always feel this positive thing, and if something happen or I feel like this, it's like no way,
unacceptable.
And you know, I'm telling them that everyone, even Prince Charles, when he couldn't sign, I don't know, when he became king, you saw that he threw it away and were so angry.
Got really upset at the pen.
Yeah,
He mumbled something very rude as he was signing himself king.
that yes,
Yeah.
there are people, all of the people feel
Yes.
pain and
This is really the same idea. First, it starts with beautiful things for the eye, then sensory pleasures, then my mind. I want to stay only on the good side. So when we meet our difficult emotions of frustrations or anger or violence or hatred on our dark side, it's unbearable. We don't know because we want to have only beautiful things all the time and only pleasant things all the time. We want only the half. It's really what Thich Nhat Hanh says in the continuum of this really very chapter. It says if you have a branch of a beautiful, I don't know, let's say cherry tree, but once you start to say, I prefer this side, I don't want this side, and you cut, but you always have this side, no matter where you cut. You always have the other side, and the branch can never exist without having the two sides. So reality is much more complex than the dichotomy we accustomed to. Say we only want the pleasant. We never have. יש לי אותו, I have it on my telephone. I can read it to you. You have it? So we can look at it in the break. I can read it. You have it in English, maybe? Oh, what we can do, I can give you my phone, you can read in English, and I can read here in Hebrew. We can do it after the break because I think it's worthwhile to read the rest of the chapter. It's a very, not easy, but beautiful and deep. And anyway, a little break?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's do a little break. And we can look at the book and we can have a little tea and then we come. So we are back. I want to show you a very, very powerful poem of Szymborska. You have it in English as well. This is the English, this is the Hebrew. There are some differences between the English and the Hebrew. It's always interesting to see. It's always interesting to see. Sometimes I even...
שאלה, וואטסאפ שלה שתדבר את זה, אני כן יכולים לפה, גם שזה בכלל מה
לא, הקבוצה גדולה יותר. So we have a poem of Szymborska from Polish in origin about hatred. About hatred. And let's read and then let's investigate together a sentence inside that is very powerful. And I think if we can use it to understand our own mind better, it can be very interesting regarding this dichotomy that we think about. So let's read the poem. ראו מה רבת פעלים עודנה, כמה טוב שורדת במעטנו השנאה, במאה הנוכחית, כן? במעטנו, במאה שלנו. באיזה קלות היא מדלגת מעל משוכות גבוהות, כמה קל לה לזנק, ללכוד. אין היא דומה לרגשות אחרים. מבוגרת וצעירה מהם בעת ובעונה אחת. בעצמה יולדת עילות המפיחות בחיים. נכון, השנאה מייצרת לעצמה את כל ההצדקות ואת כל הסיבות להמשיך לנוע. אם היא נרדמת, שנתה איננה שנת עד. חוסר שינה אינו גורע מעונה, אלא מסתכל. דת, לא דת, העיקר לרקון לזינה. מולדת, לא מולדת, העיקר לזנק לריצה. צדק טוב בתור התחלה, אחר כך היא כבר דוהרת מעצמה. שנאה, שנאה. את פניה מעקמת ההוויה של אקסטזת אהבה. את זה אני ארצה שנחקור. אך הרגשות האחרים חולנים ונרפים, ממתי יכולה אחווה לקוות להמונים? האם חמלה הגיעה אי פעם ראשונה למטרה? ספקנות? כמה בעלי רצון היא סוחפת אחריה? סוחפת רק היא שבוטחת בעצמה. הכל אנחנו רואים על המדינה שלנו מאוד חזק בימים. מוכשרת, מהירת תפיסה, חרוצה עד מאוד. האם הכרחי לספר כמה שירים חיברה? כמה דפי היסטוריה ספררה? כמה שטיחי אדם פרסה? בכמה מגרשים? בכמה אצטדיונים? בל נרמה את עצמנו, היא מסוגלת ליצור יופי. נפלאים הבזקיה בלילה אפל. נהדרים ענני הפיצוצים בשחר ורוד. קשה להתכחש לפתוס של חרבות ולהומור גס של עמוד המזדקר מהן באון. היא אלופת הניגודים, בין השעון לשקט, בין הדם האדום לשלג הלבן. ומעל הכל, לעולם לא משעמם אותה המוטיב של רב טבחים ללא רבב, הרוכן מעל קורבנו המגואל. באותה עת נכונה היא למשימות חדשות. אם חייבת היא לחכות, תחכה. אומרים שהיא עיוורת. עיוורת? עיניה חדות כעיני צלף, והיא מביטה בעתיד באומץ. היא לבדה. היא לבדה תפס אותי האנגלית כי she gazes at the future and only it can. זה לא רק היא לבדה, זה היא לבדה יכולה לעשות את כל מה שהיא רוצה. השנאה. As if it's person.
היא לא חולקת בסופנות.
את מה שהיא עושה.
כן, כאילו זה נשארת לבד. כאילו, בגלל שרק לה יש את היכולות האלה.
כן, זה הקונוטציה העברית, הקונוטציה האנגלית היא אחרת. גם אני הייתי שם בפעם.
אני רוצה לספר משהו קצר שהיה.
זה באנגלית?
Yesterday I was having a great day with a friend of mine. נווה צדק, נחת בנימין, באמת, it was very nice. And then we get into a store in שוק הכרמל, with photos, all kind of photos, and perspective, and seeing all kind of beauty. Oh, this will be for the salon, this will be for the, yeah. Really nice. And then a guy over there picked up a photo on perspective, and he was showing us and said, what do you think about this? A gun. A big gun. And we were sure he was kidding us. I said, oh, come on, give us a break. Are you really going to say yes? And we were talking, we were sure. And then we went out, and the way we saw that he was going to buy this. And we told him, we're going to buy this. He said, okay. We started to talk about the war now and that what, and his wife was there, I don't know, his wife, his girlfriend, she said, and we went out and then we said, how come she couldn't say, no way getting this into our house? And I thought that this is so, the damage of the war is so beyond everything that we see. I mean, to put this in the salon.
Yeah. Many people put it not as a photo, but as a real accessory on their pants. It's even worse than putting a photo. Yeah. So we have as if personification of hatred, right, in this poem. And there is a very interesting sentence on the third paragraph or verse. She says that all of her face is twisted by the expression of ecstasy of love. But this is hatred. And it has ecstasy of love. And I was thinking maybe this can be an interesting gate for us to explore a bit this illusion of dichotomy, while she says that hatred has expression of ecstasy of love. How can it be? How would you?
You can do both passionately. You can hate passionately or love passionately. You can give the same kind of expression, its own interpretation from an outside.
I have maybe a little bit another one, like for example, a mother defending her own child. And often the mother, I think, would say that, no, wait, those, for example, mothers of the soldiers in Gaza, I don't think it's easy to say that for any mother that I don't hate them. So obviously, who are taking the life of their child, it's, I think, often the reaction. I hate those from another side.
Yeah. Scary.
So you're sent to Gaza, you don't know how you come back.
Mm.
So to me, this is the face of a mother who is like loving her child fiercely loving her child, if it's possible to say, because this is all often about confusion, love, and.
So if the love is for the child, where is the hate?
Or someone who will,
Yes. But this, now we see attachment and aversion, how they are close. I remember when I just started my studies in Alanda, I think the first year I came and there were some discussion groups and we were studying, I think Shantideva, and we had small discussion groups and each one needed to ask or to reflect which affliction is strong in his mind. And I said that I'm very strong on attachment. I have very strong attachment in my mind. And then somebody in the group asked me, how about anger? And I said, no, I don't perceive myself as an angry person. And he was laughing. Because I didn't have this clear understanding yet that if you have strong attachment, you have very strong aversion to the opposite of it, either to lose or to everything that threatens or different, the opposite of what I want. They go together. So this hatred is twisted from ecstasy of love because it goes for the same thing. You love this, then you hate everything that threatens. Look what happens to our people in this time. Right? There is a lot of love for something, then there's a lot of hate to the other side. It's really like yin and yang. You have the spot of black in the touch of in the area of white, and vice versa. If you have very strong attachment or love, you have very strong aversion. At the moment when we are still contaminated and undeveloped too much, they go together. It's a full poem of hatred on hatred, and we have love inside.
Think of the word ecstasy. It's great because it's not just love. Love, like even in the, not even in the Buddhist, but the ecstasy is like you're almost driven mad by love. You're blinded by some sort of strong attachment.
Yeah.
That's like the other side of things. Because love, like a bodhicitta form, it's not.
It's peaceful.
Yeah.
I think love is a bad word.
Yeah.
Love is a bad word because so much confusion in it.
Yeah.
Of many things. We need love and love. Common love. This is
Different.
totally different.
Yeah, and here maybe it's even what we would say more attachment than love. Yeah. Ecstasy of love shows the intensity, like you said. Yeah. Because you know, bodhicitta, they say it always have the cooling effect. They are really, in so many texts, talk about the cooling effect of bodhicitta because as if the afflictions are burning. Bodhicitta is like pacifying it. And ecstasy of love in this context is not a pacified thing. And I think this takes also to another song that I found of Shalom Chanoch and Meir Ariel. Yes. נכון? אני גם אוהבת. It talks about opposites. It's the same idea like Tich Natan, like that interbeing. Without darkness, there is no light. Without bad, there is no good. Without one, there is no many. Small, big, war, peace, lying, truth, injustice, justice. How do stupidity, wisdom. את לא רואה? אפשר.
לא, בשביל...
בשביל אלכס, כן. But I think the added value of this song is the measure, and I think this is what Ilil is saying. It's like, אך כמו שאני אוהב אותך, אם זה אפשרי לשנוא כל כך, זה בכלל לא עושה לי טוב, פחות לא אוכל לאהוב. As if there are, each side is defined and defining the other side. So if I love you so much, it means that somebody can hate as much. And this is a scary thing, but I cannot love you less. Like as if I love you so much, then the same measure should be on the other side, and this is a scary idea for him. And this, I think, is also what we saw in Szymborska, that hatred is such an intense emotion, especially the way it is depicted here. So the opposite is the same intensity, is the ecstasy of love. It's not just a pacifying, cool bodhicitta. It's like very strong attachment.
זה דילמת אפקט הליתיום. ליתיום זה התרופה שנותנים לאנשים עם מאניה דיפרסיה. כשהם לוקחים אותה, אז הם באמת במצב מאוזן, אבל זה לא מעניין אותם פה. ברור, של הכבוד שלו, עושים להם את הבדיקות, אבל מבחינת המאניה דיפרסיה, זה מאוזן להם. והבעיה הכי רצינית של הליתיום, והליתיום זה אחת התרופות הכי יעילות, דרך אגב.
ממש לא, היא עושה נזק.
נזק מספיק, כאילו מבחינת הקידום של נכון, עושים בדיקות כדי לוודא, אבל מבחינת היעילות של המאניה דיפרסיה, היא יעילה, אבל רוב הבעיות שהאנשים לא רוצים לקחת, כי אז הם...
פלט. זה לא כזה.
הם כאילו, והם מתגעגעים לרגעים שבהם הם היו במאניה ובהיי ובהכל, על אף שהם זוכרים שהדיפרסיה שלהם היא אובדנית, לא סתם דיפרסיה, דיפרסיה אובדנית. ואת יודעת, לפעמים אני אומרת לעצמי, כאילו, אוקיי, ההתרגשויות, ההיאחזויות, הכל, אז אני כאילו צריכה להסתכל על זה, ואז אני כאילו מורידה את המנעד שלי. כאילו למען טובתי הנפשית, כן, למען הדרך, אבל כאילו לצמצם את המנעד, כמו שהליתיום בעצם עושה.
אז אני אתרגם ואז אני אתייחס. Nurit says that it's a bit like lithium as a medicine for bipolar disorder. You know, when you go for manic episodes or depression episodes, the extremes are very strong. And when they take lithium, which is a very efficient medicine, but many of the patients say that it becomes a bit flat because they don't have the excitement of the up. And they aspire for that, even though they remember that when they are depressed, it's going for suicidal aspects many times. But it's very hard to give up the extreme positive side. And she says, even for us, not just the bipolar disorder, we have a tendency to be very attracted to the very exciting and the full flavor part of life. And sometimes we think that the practice Buddhism makes us a bit flat, like we narrow the לא מעניין. זה לא מעניין, זה לא האישו, זה לא האישו כאן, זה רק אנלוגיה. זה רק אנלוגיה. כן, כן, אבל זה רק אנלוגיה, זה פחות העניין כאן.
Say we want to abolish anger, to destroy our anger. People are very attached to the anger.
Yeah.
Say, but without anger, how will I be?
What will protect me? What will take care of me?
What's my is productive? And I have to like people. No.
Yeah. And also attachment. Many times I ask in a room, will you give up your attachments? And people say, no. Your excitements, your no. But I think the difference between taking a pill to make you flat and cultivate the path is that on the path you don't become flat. You know the realistic sources of happiness and inner peace, which gives a lot of inner joy and peace from the right things. So you don't look for your happiness on things that will always disappoint you. And then you're in constant craving and thirst and search. But you have inner peace and you have inner joy. It's not flat at all.
You don't have the excess.
You have bliss. you have bliss. Bliss is very high and very intense, but you know that in high levels of concentration, this I just had a very interesting discussion. We have the 8 jhanas with different levels of concentration. In some of them you have bliss, but bliss is defined from a certain level as equanimous feeling. It's not even pleasant feeling. Like we are so accustomed to pleasant feelings, right? Bodily pleasant feelings, mental pleasant feelings. Bliss on higher levels is from equanimous feeling, not from pleasant. So it's a totally different scale of self-fulfillment and feeling inner joy and peace and bliss, and all the things we aspire to are very different from what we are accustomed to search for. Like we dig in the mud while this is up there, and this is so different in flavor. We think that it's just intensify this, then what we get there, but totally not. So I don't think if you really practice the path, or if you really cultivate your mind, you get something that is not flat, that is very deep, very rich, very meaningful, very happy, but very different in flavor from what we're accustomed to. Because I hear this argument many times from people who did many Vipassana courses, people who did many Goenka courses. They start to say, I start to be flat. As if no ups, no downs, I start to be flat. Yeah, Vipassana style.
No, I didn't say flat. I said that range, the range of my feelings, I feel they're a bit,
It shortens.
short.
I'm saying no. I'm saying it opens a new dimension. It's not making, okay, so I used to be very excited when I go to parties, and now if I reduce, it seems a bit boring. No, I open a new dimension. I open a totally new dimension, and there you cannot compete. I don't think that real practice makes you flat. If it makes you flat, you lack the right resources, the right perspective, the right practice.
No, I feel that I don't need to be that.
Because you know it's not a source of real happiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the range is narrowed because when at that time I had these feelings, that was considered as happiness. And now I know it's not.
Yeah. Okay. So you're searching in different places.
Adjusting your expectation. Attachment and aversion, they dictate our expectation. So we say, when I will go to this party, I will have so much fun, it will be so pleasurable, and it's like all these big things, and then you expect it, and then it doesn't happen, and then it becomes aversion, and you're like, you hate the party. So if you just come with the right view, we're not with the right view yet, but even just adjusting our expectations, and not putting so much emphasis on outside sources for our pleasure and for our happiness, or for our pain and for our suffering, then if you do enjoy it, then it becomes much better.
Yeah.
The better kind of enjoyment.
Yeah. Even this, happiness and suffering, there are so many different types of happiness. I'm now into 50 Shades of. You know this 50 Shades of Grey? That I guess everybody saw or read except me. That's why I feel comfortable talking about it. I didn't really see it, but 50 Shades of. No matter what, 50 Shades of practice. I offered Dharma friends now to give them a workshop one day of 50 Shades of practice. They didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I like it because we have 50 Shades of practice. I think we have 50 shades in everything. הקונוטציה, זהו, אי אפשר להתעלות מזה. 50 shades of practice. Sometimes we have enthusiasm, sometimes less. Sometimes we have motivations like this or like that, sometimes less. Yeah, we have 50 shades of practice. So also we have 50 shades of happiness. And we used to put it maybe on other things before, like sensory pleasures more, and now we can put it more into the right meaning and depth and equanimity.
50 shades of suffering also.
And 50 shades of suffering also. Yeah. And in this poem of Shalom Chanoch and Meir Ariel, they talk about without one side you don't have the other. They talk about the measures. If I love you so much, then there's probably this intensity of hatred. But then they say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth verse. למה תמיד מנסים להעמיד את הכל על מקום אחד? רק תן לי שפשוף, תן לי חילוף, תן להרגיש חי וחד. He's talking about the fact that we narrow reality, we simplify reality, either good or bad, so we want only the good. And why you always make everything so simple and clear cut? You have everything within everything. There is no inherent existence, right? Because if there is relative existence, then it's not an independent existence, it's not inherent existence. So you cannot put everything into such a clear cut of definitions and divisions. Yeah, so it's really, I think, the same ideas. Yeah, you can see.
Oh, I have a question about that, or maybe a subject to discuss. What is this duality or non-duality? Without not this circumstance, of course, is it more about reality or is it more about our mind? So is it just that there are like no different things outside because they ultimately similar or not so opposite or whatever, or is it just about the way that we perceive it?
I think it's both. I think reality is very complex and the mind is twisting the understanding of reality by simplifying, like we said in the beginning. So thinking in categories, in dichotomy, is a pattern of my mind versus reality, which is not in accordance with the way I perceive it. And that's why it's twisting reality or perversion or silufim in Hebrew. As if there is a gap between the way I perceive and understand reality versus reality itself. Reality itself is complex, is a spectrum, is ever-changing, is arising and decaying in every second, things are mixed. And I cannot deal with such complex reality because you say it's non-functional, then I simplify. And then
so it sounds that it's more about the mind. It's more about the composition.
How do we see the reality?
Yeah, not so much about the reality. So maybe there are things like, I don't know, not love as we perceive the term love, but still this Hoklichita, unconditional, for example, love, there is such a thing. So, but it's not like we can come to it with our understanding this of life, hatred, something different.
Yeah, but bodhicitta will never be an existent phenomena if there will be no self-cherishing on the other side. This is what we mean. We don't mean that bodhicitta is mixed with self-cherishing.
Yeah. So if it's not mixed, then why? And Buddha has bodhicitta, but there is no trace of self-cherishing anywhere near him.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what I said. No?
Maybe I didn't get what this.
The thing is, they don't have to exist at the same mind at the same time. Like the rose and the garbage, they don't exist at the very same time, but they still a complementary process, right? So bodhicitta and self-cherishing are complementary processes, even though they don't exist at the same time.
Is it really so? Is it necessary for self-cherishing to exist so that the bodhicitta ultimate bodhicitta? Not quite clear.
That's you need to investigate. This is what all this session is offering. This is what all this session is offering. Because we have I never wrote them here. I didn't write the wrong perceptions, but this is really the four mistakes we do. We divide into two extremes, seed and sprout. We think that because we talk about it as such, we think they exist like that, and then we go only for the extreme that is pleasant for us, right? So we have attachment for this, aversion for the other side. Then we think that if I'm attached to it, then it must exist with the good qualities within the thing itself, because I'm attached to it, right? So you perceive inherent existence, and then you grasp into permanence. It will always be pleasant. So all the four misconceptions are really mixed within each other. And then if we, צריך לא להתאמד לעברית, if we loosen one, we can maybe loosen the others. Unravel, יפה.
מאיפה האנגלית שלה?
Yeah. The thing is that it's like I'm saying I'm judgmental, which means you're not, and I never have anything except this color in my mind. It's the same with bodhicitta and self-cherishing, right? It's a process. It's a process to cultivate. And even after you are bodhisattva, for example, there are examples of still self-grasping. The bodhisattva, there are examples that a lower class bodhisattva has some kind of jealousy or envy in a higher class bodhisattva. So it's still a process. These things go together. Even if you work on your mind and you cultivate and you do things, it's not like this and that. They deal with their minds. It's like we said, we meet our own dark side and we accept it, to know as if it's a part of life. So the same here, we have Buddha that is a symbol of everything that is one extreme, and we have us as ordinary beings that never purified anything yet as the other extreme. But we can compare and relate only because you have the two sides. I understand what is a Buddha because I know how my mind works, and I accept that I have the potential to be a Buddha. So there is some similarity between me and the Buddha because I have Buddha nature. So the emptiness of my mind is the emptiness of his mind. So reality is more complex than what we think, right? It's not linear. That's why I chose yin and yang, because even the symbol is not linear. It's not, they are mixed with each other. So I think this is our homework. This is the topic we need to explore, that how can one exist without the other or with the other.
So the conceptual understanding is the one that the understanding of the true reality.
Yes.
The conceptual reality.
Yes. Yes. The wrong conceptual reality, because I can have a conceptual understanding of emptiness, and this does not distort my view. But what we do here, that we take a very complex thing, we take only two extremes, then we solidify them, then automatically if I have extremes, I need to choose. So this I like and this I dislike, and then I aspire only for this in all my life. And then
it's all the conceptual misunderstanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, when they say grasping impermanent into permanent, happiness into suffering, self, no self is self, and ugly or pure and impure, these are all conceptual misunderstandings.
What phase is making us more diluted? The phase that I aspire all the time for the good, for the nice and good
Extreme
side, the aspiration, or not mentioning myself all the time that this is not good. It seems good because all the circumstances made it look now like me. It's good to me, but it's not inherited good.
Mm-hmm.
But what part is making me be more in a habit of this misconception?
תגידי לי בעברית.
כאילו החלק שאני כל הזמן מקווה לטוב ומקווה לחלקים הנעימים, או הרגע הזה שאני לא קולטת שאין דבר כזה באמת טוב
כשלעצמו. מה יותר יוצר לסבל?
כן.
So what is more, what is stronger in causing me suffering? Is it the aspiration only for the pleasant side, or not understanding that things do not exist from their own side? Both misconceptions are mentioned here.
The two types of suffering. First is the pain of pain, and the second is the pain of change. What you said.
Suffering of change.
One thing on pleasure and one is suffering from change.
Yeah. Because if we have 4 misconceptions, looking at suffering as happiness, this is aspiring for the happy side. Because this is suffering of change. When I go for sensory pleasures, and I think that they are a source of happiness, they are a source of suffering. So this is one mistake that I do. And the other one is finding a self when there is no self. I think that this is pleasurable from its own side. And it's not. It's I give these qualities or this interpretation for the situation, right? It comes from my mind. So this is 2 out of the 4 that he's mentioning. So each one will give you his own pain and his own suffering. Yeah. But look how they are related, right? It's very hard to see something that has a self, think that something has a self of its own and not think that it's permanent and either a source of happiness or suffering from its own side. We really, all of them.
Also,
including
our
ours.
We are inherent and unchanging.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if we really understand this, then we cannot say even one characteristics on ourselves, right? Like each I was just had on Thursday, half a day. My friend has a recruiting company, she did a half a day of training people how to find their job, either on LinkedIn, either an interview, and half a day of how you sell yourself. And a very common question that they have in an interview is, give me 3 strengths of yours and 3 faults. If you're a Buddhist, what would you say? Nothing is inherently existing in me. Right? No?
I have a habit of
sometimes, and sometimes no, it depends on. And but you know, it's not just our insights, because also then somebody said that she said I was in an interview recently, and they asked me questions that I was really struggling what to answer. What would you recommend me? She asked the leader, and she said the woman that was interviewing me from HR, she asked me, if you have a spectrum, where do you put yourself? In a tiny details, or rush over tasks and do it very, very quickly? And she said, I got stuck because I'm not here and not here. And the guy, the girl that was the woman that was leading this day, she said, you tell her that it depends on the situation. So even these insights that we are trying so hard to break, this solidity that we perceive ourselves and others, also in an interview, it's very relevant, because they put you into stupid boxes, very superficial boxes, and you need to say, I don't fit in any of them. not just to yourself. I don't fit into any of them. It depends on so many factors. So I think I would recommend you to take the coming 2 weeks until our next session. Take this book of Thich Nhat Hanh, take chapter 6, and investigate yourself according to what he says. Because even for me, I read this chapter a few times before I came here. Some of the sentences are very clear to me and very accessible, and I immediately can apply. Some are still too high for me. And I'm saying, but how can I understand this? It's not as if it's the same line of reasoning and same examples, but at one point I get stuck. I get stuck. Until here I follow, until here, not yet. And the more we investigate the ideas and the more we can make our minds more flexible, and then maybe in daily life fall less into these traps of these 4 traps of permanence, suffering, impure as pure, and unself-esteem. All these 4 misconceptions. It's a very interesting investigation. We don't have to have direct realization of emptiness to have moments of relief and release from these wrong conceptions that we put on ourselves. So the more we investigate, and then we fight with someone and we say, okay, it's a result of this moment. He's not like that and I'm not like that. How much peace we can find in tiny situations like that. So, yeah. Somebody wants to say something?
I want to ask something about the sutra that we read then. We talked about it on the way here, and he's talking about 4 sentences, and the last one is beauty versus ugliness. And I think it's the first time I see these notions in Buddhist texts, and it's not very clear what is beautiful and what is ugly.
Yeah.
What is he referring to?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's yeah. לראות את המכוער כיפה. In English, ugliness and beauty. Yeah, it's you can have the same idea in many different words. Usually the more common one is impure and pure. Okay. Not ugly and beautiful, but it's the very same meaning. And on impure and pure, we have quite a lot. Did we ever do the Satipatthana Sutta? Yeah?
No.
No? Maybe a long time ago. Yes. Yes. חכי, אני רוצה להראות לך משהו.
עם כל האיברים הפנימיים.
כן, 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 כן. גם, נכון, נכון. There is the Sutra of Satipatthana, and he says it's like, think how we perceive, think how do we perceive the body, right? I wish to be taller, I wish to have a blonde hair, I wish I would be more attractive, less attractive, more athlete, less athlete, taller, shaped. The relation of the way we relate to our body is so complex. It's so complex. One thing. Second aspect, we perceive bodies as something very attractive, right? All the sexual attraction is based on seeing something very attractive. And they say, and seeing it as a source of happiness, because if we have sex, it's a source of happiness, or physical intimacy and stuff like that. So and we see it as permanent, because if we interact with someone, we want him to stay as we perceive him now. So all these 4 I can put on the body. I can see it as permanent, I can see it as a source of happiness, he's attractive on its own side, and he's beautiful. But then in the Satipatthana Sutra, Buddha says it's a sutra of the 4 close placements of mindfulness. How do you apply mindfulness to your breath, to your body, to your mind and to all the mental states in the mind. And he says, take the body like you take a bag with one opening. And in the bag, like, right, we have a bag. And in the bag, you have beans and rice and the lentils and many different types of things. In the same way, perceive your body. It's a bag of skin with 2 holes. And inside you have, and he starts to list each and every part of your body. All the limbs, all the bones, all the marrow, all the liquids, all the things, all the sweat, all the very unpleasant. I think we read it with Shuki and he was horrified. Shuki and Meir was sitting on the sides of the how can you be attracted to someone with something similar? Yes. So first, Buddha is saying just see your body as it is. Don't build up things that are not there on the body. And secondly, he says the body in nature is impure because there are so many substances there that are not pure in nature. Like,
I don't understand the pure and impure. What is pure?
Yeah, they have lists of pure and impure. Pure can be the signs and the marks of the Buddha. Pure can be states of mind that are seeing reality as it is. Impure is everything that gives rise to delusions.
Mixed with suffering or unmixed with suffering, no?
Yeah, it can be either taken under karma and afflictions or not, or a source of suffering, or just not seeing the nature as it is. We think the body is very attractive. He says you have sweat and poop and urine, and he gives a very detailed list, not exaggerated, just realistic. He says you don't see things as they are. Because if you put everything, if I just peel the skin and you look at what's going on here, hardly somebody finds it attractive. So we just need a tiny cover of skin and suddenly we are not aware of everything that goes inside and we think it's very attractive, very beautiful. Usually it's in relation to the body as impure. There are many impure substances inside. This is how they call it. Impure substances and impure body.
I feel like the connotation sometimes very impure is that something is dirty, like just linguistic. But I don't think that's exactly the meaning of it. I understand it. It's more about things that cause suffering from the point of not being.
But also just dirty, like poop.
Yeah, excrement.
Or like dirty water.
I don't think that's
maybe dirty water or pure water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a matter of הגדרות.
And definitions and culture and stuff. They say that some things are just impure, like substances.
No, I can understand that the Buddha is pure and okay, but to say on something that it's impure, it's
yeah.
Garbage.
No, it's not. It's not impure. It's something.
It's dependent on your level of understanding.
I don't think Buddha is implying anything about pure or impure. He's just saying that you have a connotation of pure, and what you have as this connotation, it's not like that. There are parts which are the opposite of that. So he's not implying that there are things like pure or impure. He's taking something that people are implying. These mendicants, for example, they consider something as pure, and he said that maybe there is no such thing. And even the characteristics of that which you consider as pure, you have things which with the opposite characteristics.
Yeah, he shows the opposites. Pure and impure, why do they call it impure? We had many discussions on that. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it's just
I think it's relative truth. Ultimate truth in the Heart Sutra or something, you can say there is no pure and no impure or something like that. I'm not sure if it's in the Sutra, but you cancel all the opposites.
Yeah.
When you understand everything. So I think first you need to understand pure and impure, and after that you.
Yeah, in the ultimate level, nothing exists from its own side. then you can cancel everything.
Maybe this is a sign that Alona already moved beyond pure and impure, and so she can't even understand what you
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm close to the
Yeah, I don't know, if you walk on the street and you step on a poop of a dog, does it make you happy?
It does make me happy, but I don't say it's impure.
No, because this is a terminology that is relevant to the time, and it's very contextual, but the message is very clear. You think it's very attractive, but if you take off the skin and you really see the everything that goes inside, it's not very attractive.
Yeah, I can understand it, but the
This is
word
what-
pure and impure,
Yeah.
I don't.
So
relate
that's
to
why I think Asaf took it to ugly.
yeah, this is more.
But if you open the Lamrim, if you open many traditional texts, you see
It's
it in,
pure and pure.
yeah, many times.
Maybe because this is from Pali tradition. Maybe
Yeah.
this is
Maybe.
Pali. And
Maybe because also the English goes for beautiful and ugly. So this can be different interpretations. Okay, let's dedicate. Let's take the last minutes and dedicate. May all the positive energy we accumulated in this meeting by coming and putting efforts into reading, preparing, wanting to cultivate our minds, spending time to reflect. May all this positive energy that we created serve as a cause for the happiness of each and every sentient being. May the insights we gained serve as a cause for clear insight for each and every sentient being, for the future wisdom, future bodhicitta of each and every sentient being. So we all learn to see things as more complex. So there will be more harmony, less rejecting of somebody else, less wars, less hatred, more love, more acceptance, more equanimity. All these insights come from learning, from reflecting, from trying to see reality as it is, as complex as it is. So may everything we did will help us not to fall into traps of dichotomy or shallowness or just simplifying reality too much, not with respect to ourselves, not with respect to others. We can send our merit to each and every sentient being who needs healing from sickness of body or mind, from every pain that happens, from losing dear ones, from losing homes, from being related to the kidnapped. May everybody comes home safe. May the war stop quickly. We can come back slowly. Thank you very much. לעשות לי מיטינג או לא לעשות לי?
Stop about.
סיימנו.